Hi, this is Charissa Ruby with Dakota Micro, and this is a short video about our AHD wireless equipment. For a little bit of a history lesson, Dakota Micro has had wireless equipment that integrates with our cameras and monitors for 15, 20 years. So we've had it around ever since the beginning of our business. And we've always had analog equipment, so that would have been a CVBS signal. In the last couple of years, we have updated to an AHD signal, which is analog high definition, which would be 720p. So for a future, when I'm talking about this, 480p is analog or CVBS, and AHD is 720p, and that's going to be that analog high definition. So now we've switched our product line over to AHD, which is a much higher resolution. And so our wireless is one of those things that has now been updated with everything else. We stayed with analog because there is no delay with analog signals. There's a lot of digital signals out there right now that have a much shorter range, and so that's another thing about analog that we really like. And when you're talking about backing up a large piece of equipment, to make sure that there's no delay, if there's a person behind you or a building or another machine, milliseconds count. And so to have no delay with that analog signal was incredibly important to us. And so that's why we stayed with the analog signals. Also on the transmitter receiver side for the wireless, sticking with that 2.4 gigahertz analog signal allowed us to get a much longer range than any digital wireless receivers and transmitters could even begin to offer. So that's why we stayed with analog. Something to keep in mind is though we did expand our product line to be AHD, we still do offer our cameras in analog. And so we have dual lines. We have AHD cameras and we have analog cameras. And the reason we still have the analog cameras is a lot of third-party monitors do not yet have the ability to be able to see AHD signal. And we have a lot of adapter cables that allow our customers to incorporate and integrate our cameras in with a third-party monitor, whether it's through Deere, Case, AGCO, Ag Leader, all of those brands. We have an adapter cable to integrate a camera into that. And most of them only take an analog camera. So keep that in mind when you're selecting an option for utilization with those third-party monitors. So the kit includes two components. So these are the primary components. You're going to get a transmitter and a receiver in your kit. With each one of those, you will get a 3 decibel antenna. Here's a nice little cute little antenna. These function on a reverse SMA signal. Something important to note, if you go out, we also have larger antennas that you can get. There'll be another video. We'll put a link to that on the bottom of this one. Larger antennas, you can get a 5 decibel, 7, 8 decibel. We have options if you need to get that signal up a little bit higher or have a little longer range. We don't recommend you use a different antenna other than a Dakota Micro antenna because they're tuned to different equipment. You know, we're 2.4 gigahertz. We also have a certain frequency, and we're reverse SMA. It's you might get a signal with another antenna, but it probably wouldn't be the optimum signal. So just to let you guys know. We will also have a 12-volt power adapter that screws right into this power plug, and that's kind of nice because it actually screws together. All of the equipment has a 3 amp 20 millimeter glass fuse built into all the power supplies. And what this allows, so this is the transmitter, because this one's just simple. And the receiver has power in and power out, so it'll have 2 glass fuses. But this allows us to catch any, if we have poor power or something that happens along the way, this won't damage your equipment. You just got to replace a cheap fuse. And then also included with your equipment will be a 3 amp AC power plug to be able to plug it into a wall outlet. So that's what's included in your kit: transmitter, receiver, antennas, 12-volt power, and a wall plug. So that's what's included in your kit. So let's talk about how these guys work. So this would be your transmitter. It has a dial on the front. You get channels 1, 2, 3. And so you would select which channel you're going to be transmitting on. You plug your camera into here, your power into here, and you put your antenna here. Something important about your power is when you power it up on the back of your machine, make sure it's plugged into a fused circuit. If you don't, and you have it plugged into something that stays live, even when your vehicle is off, it'll draw power. And the primary place it draws power is at night. The camera infrareds will come on because it's live, and that'll suck power from your battery. So that's something to keep in mind when you're providing power to this the transmitter. We recommend powering it up, tapping into a light source, or if you actually have a raw power source in the back of the machine, make sure it's a fused circuit. So you would put this in line. Something else about our wireless units is you do not have to have the camera hooked directly to this unit. So what you can do is you don't have to hook your camera directly to the receiver, or sorry, the transmitter. You can have a cord. You can have up to 60 feet of cord between the camera and the transmitter. So that's something that we have a lot of customers do, especially if they have a shorter antenna cable. You can get this transmitter closer to the location that you need it to be, up and away from everything else. So keep that in mind. You do have the ability to add up to 60 feet of cable between your camera and the transmitter. And then on the receiving side, the receiver looks almost identical. It's got the same dial, 1, 2, 3 channel. You output to your monitor with this cord, so this will plug into one of your video ins on your monitor. And then as far as power, what you do is you power this wireless transmitter, and then you input that power into the monitor. So this receiver actually powers your monitor. And both of these have fuses, so if you have anything that happens with your power source, you'll be able to replace this glass fuse, so that keeps it simple. Again, you put your antenna here. So that's how you hook this guy up. When you're looking at installing wireless on a piece of equipment, we always recommend that you consider why you're using wireless. We often get people asking about putting wireless on the front of a machine to the back of a machine. So let's say a combine or a garbage truck. I want a camera and a wireless transmitter at the back and a receiver at the front. We don't recommend doing that, because by the time you add a transmitter and a receiver, accessory antennas to get that signal up high so it doesn't get blocked by all that steel in the middle, the amount of expense that you're going to run into when you can run a wire across the machine is way more expense than is necessary, and you're also risking interference with that signal. So just running a cord wherever you can. But if you are in a place where it's an articulation and you can't run one, or if you're simply in a vehicle-to-vehicle application or a building-to-vehicle application, wireless is definitely the way to go. One of the things when using the antennas, make sure they're matched. So we offer, like I indicated earlier, multiple antennas. So if you decide you need to get your signal out of your cab and want to use like a 5 decibel antenna, we've got a nice 5 and 7 decibel antenna. The 7 has a magnet on it. You can just put it on top of each one of the vehicles, and they will see each other, and then you won't have anything in the way. Something always to keep in mind with the antennas is anything you put in the way can block that signal, and it can be something visible or invisible. It can be a building or a grain bin, or it could be an argon-filled glass window. It might seem like the signal should go through glass, but that argon will block the signal. High humidity can block the signal as well. So that's always something that we remind folks to keep in mind. And then on a final note, something that a lot of people don't quite know is you can actually receive multiple cameras with this receiver. So when you have this receiver, you can leave it on channel 1. And let's say you're in a silage chopper and you have multiple trucks coming and you're unloading into. They can all have their receiver set on channel 1, and or transmitters, or vice versa. And so let's say you have a receiver set on channel 1 and all the cameras are set on channel 1. Whichever camera is closest will be the one that will be received. So that's kind of a nice feature that it does, is when one camera goes away, the next one that comes in close, it'll pick that one up. So it's a nice utilization if you have multiple cameras in use. And then if, let's say, you have another set of trucks that are on camera 2, you could just easily switch this dial to camera 2. So you could technically have a lot of cameras, more than 3, depending on how close they are and what kind of operation that you are running. Well, thanks for watching. We have more videos on our YouTube channel, on our website. We also have lots of great literature. Go ahead and check it out. Thanks.